So probably start then with the most basic question. Is just, after, everything came down yesterday, how are you feeling?
I've been at peace ever since everything came down. My number one goal was always to ensure that my office was professional and did our jobs to the best of our ability. And I feel that our team did our job, and we brought all the facts before the jury. They were able to reach a verdict, and I'm at peace.
Obviously, he was indicted on first-degree murder. They came back with a lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter. Are you satisfied with that, and are you satisfied with the 2.5-year recommendation?
Well, obviously, I brought forth the charges that I felt were appropriate and made all the arguments, both at the guilt phase of trial and at the punishment phase of trial, for what I felt was appropriate and what we wanted at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. However, whenever a jury renders a verdict, we always respect their decision. At the very beginning of this trial, the Commonwealth indicated that we would not waive jury. I always felt that this is a case that should have been decided by the citizens of Portsmouth, and so I'm very pleased that they were able to sit for this case and render a verdict, and I always respect whatever the jury's verdict is after they've heard all of the facts.
Do you, after watching, obviously from your perspective, everything play out, do you have any regrets about that initial first-degree murder indictment after seeing what was in the end submitted as evidence without commenting on the evidence? To make you, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but do you have any regrets that maybe voluntary manslaughter should have been the initial indictment?
Absolutely not. I'm very familiar with Virginia law and what first-degree murder requires and what the lesser included offenses are. And so I was always aware that second-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter are lesser included offenses of first-degree murder. And I felt that there was evidence sufficient to bring charges of first-degree murder, and that the jury would have that decision to make about whether they would convict on first-degree, second-degree, or voluntary manslaughter, or return whatever verdict they felt was appropriate.
Obviously, it's a high-profile case. It's gotten international attention, and there are strong opinions on both sides. Some in the police community are upset with this verdict. How does that affect your relationship as the Commonwealth's attorney with the police department? Because obviously you guys rely on each other to prosecute cases. So going forward, how does this verdict affect that relationship?
Well, no one is above the law. Everyone is subject to Virginia law. And so as the Commonwealth's attorney and the chief law enforcement officer of the city, I have a duty to bring charges when it's necessary. And so if someone has violated the law and probable cause is brought to us in the form of an investigation, I have a responsibility to indict when all the facts are there. And as law enforcement officers, I believe they have a duty to respect that, and that we have to continue to work together in their roles and in our roles. We have to do our jobs. And that's just what we were doing in this case. We were doing our jobs. I stand by everything that we did. I believe we did our jobs to the best of our ability, and they have to go out and do their jobs to the best of their ability every day, and we respect what they do as well.
So you don't think this sends a message to those officers that are going out every day and putting their lives on the line that your office doesn't have their back?
Well, obviously the jury decided that this person committed a crime, that he is criminally responsible for the death of this young man. And so obviously we have officers who go out on a daily basis, they serve and protect, and they are not on a daily basis violating the rights of people and committing crimes. And as long as they're not doing that, there's no way or no reason why we would not continue to support them as they go out and protect and serve the citizens of this city, where I happen to be born and raised and now serve in a leadership position. So there's no way we would not support police officers who are going out and doing the right things, but anyone who violates the law is going to be subject to prosecution.
And just professionally for you, I know you're new here, and this is a big case, and you got a guilty verdict. I mean, for you, what does it mean to you?
Well, I'm not necessarily new here. I've been prosecuting in this office since 2011, but of course I've been the elected prosecutor for over a year. And for me, I was doing my job. The citizens of this city elected me to be the Commonwealth's attorney February of last year, and as I campaigned, I talked to them about what was important to me, and that was making sure that justice was always served and that our office always does our job well. So whether I have been here 20 years or being the elected prosecutor for over a year, either way, I have a responsibility to make sure that we always do our jobs, and I feel that that was done, and I'm pleased with that.
Any disappointment that Rankin's out on bond right now?
Well, obviously we made the motion that we felt was appropriate, and the court ruled how it felt was appropriate, and just like we respect the jury's verdict, anytime the court rules, we respect that as well.
And just
So,
to check-
well,
oh, sorry.
but are you disappointed, or you're not disappointed with that? I know you asked that he
Well,
bail bond be revoked.
I'll just say that, whenever I think that something needs to happen, as the prosecutor on the case, I make my motions in court. And so we filed several written motions pertaining to certain issues, and we've made several oral motions pertaining to certain issues. And that was one of the oral motions that I chose to make. I made the motion in open court on the record, and that was obviously our position. But the court ruled in the way it did, and we have to respect that.
Just a technical question, when there is the formal sentencing in October, would he be, depending on obviously what the judge's ruling is, would he be taken into custody right there?
That's up
Or
to
is
the
that up to
court.
the-
That's up to the court, and once again, that's something that we have that's pending, so I won't discuss what's going to happen at that sentencing or even what may happen with the appellate process, because that's something that's ongoing in the court litigation, and I don't speak on things that are ongoing with litigation as it pertains to those type of issues.
Is there, the only reason I'm asking this is because yesterday, or last evening, Mr. Rockletty and Ms. Belote were on my show specifically talking about that they do plan to appeal, and they hope some of the evidence that was excluded from the court during this trial will be included, and they think that could result in a not guilty verdict on appeal. Do you have any reaction to their statement?
Once again, the appellate process and anything that is still a part of pending litigation, my position is always that this office is going to do our jobs in the courtroom. And so if there's an appeal filed, we will respond accordingly. We will handle everything through the judicial process and not through the media or anything of that nature.
Would you argue that before the judge in October that he should get a higher sentence than 2.5?
And once again, that's something that we're going to do in court. So, I understand you want to know now, but you'll just have to watch and see, because we will make every argument that we feel is appropriate, just as we did during trial, during that sentencing hearing.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.